a lot of knowledge. And of course, she's gave us information about how Kenya has dropped from position 57 to 77, right?
Yes.
And I was wondering why.
There are many reasons. There are many reasons for that. You know, Kenya is a patriarchal society. And being patriarchal means that it doesn't just affect men, but it also affects women, because it's an ideology. It's the way we think. It's the way we behave. It's the way we look at men. It's the way we look at women. It's the way we look at how we share resources, who owns what, who benefits from what.
Yeah.
And all these are criteria that the nations, look at, the UN looks at when they are looking at how the countries are performing. And for some reason, I think because people looked at gender as being a women issue, and knowing the status of women in our society, in terms of how patriarchy has placed women, it's like women are second-class citizens, basically. And so when it comes to things to do with women, it's like, this one, we'll deal with it later. Let's start with the important things.
Right.
Then we'll come now to the things to do with women,
yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And the people who talk about gender, especially from, like I said, because historically it was from the women's movement, then now, they are taken to be people who are like rebellious, people who don't want to toe the line. So there's pushback.
Yes.
So when there's pushback, then it means that the resources that were going into it, the goodwill that was going into it is actually not as available as it was before. So these are some of the, when you look at patriarchy and you look at the belief systems, you look at the, when you look at religion also and the belief systems, and you look at now the culture and the belief systems,
everything marries into
then
that. Yeah.
it comes together. So you make progress, and sometimes you take 2 steps and then you find you've taken 3 steps
backwards. Yeah.
So basically, but I thank God, because at least we have the legislation,
Yeah.
and there's growing goodwill. Because like I said, when the men begin to understand that actually when you talk about gender, you are not just talking about women, you are talking about everybody.
Yeah.
And the men play a very critical role, actually. When men talk, fellow men will listen, women will listen, young people listen. So we are actually saying and stepping out intentionally this period to actually have male movement.
I like that. And I think a good example, even what you're saying, for that gender issues are often at the side. Like, how long have we had a new constitution that says that not more than 2/3 of, parliament should be of one gender? But yet here we are. We keep moving, right? But the work that Reinvent is doing is very, very important. Please give us a little bit more insight into the exact work that Reinvent Kenya is doing to make sure that gender equality becomes a reality in the near future, hopefully.
Thank you very much. Like I said, that Kenya has made progress. We have not only made progress in legislation, but also in institutions that are actually mandated to handle matters of gender equality. We have the National Gender and Equality Commission, which is actually one of our partners in the government. We also have the State Department for Gender, and we have gender desks or gender units or gender departments in most of the other ministries in the government. So we normally talk about ministries, departments, and agencies. So matters of gender are actually taken very critically. So Reinvent, having the partnership, like I said, of state and non-state actors, we have worked with the National Gender Equality Commission together with the State Department for Gender to support them to do their performance contracting on other government ministries. So that each ministry, because in 2021, 2022, it was one of the indicators of gender mainstreaming. It was expected that every government agency, ministry, and department should actually show how they are gender mainstreaming by including women in leadership, because for Kenya, when we talk about gender and those disadvantaged groups, we find that women are still disadvantaged to a large extent because they are not in decision-making positions. So, and in leadership where decisions are made, where resources are allocated. So basically we are saying when their voices are heard in those decision-making places, then we will divide the resources better, and also decisions made when they are made together, male and female, brains, left and right, then we are able to make better decisions than when we only have one side, one side making decisions.
I think what you're saying is true, because you've seen the rise of governors within female governors in different spaces, and their counties are actually shining bright on that list. And also some of the nominated senators and the kind of things and bills they're pushing in parliament led by women actually also doing great. So I think you have a point in that one.
Exactly.
There's more you need to share,
because you see, like now Governor Wanga, I mean, Homa Bay was doing terribly in
Right.
terms of the index of the ranking of how governors were performing. But now they're number one.
True.
You see?
Yes.
And she's really built on it through participatory approaches. She talks to the people and she's able to translate what the people have said in terms of the priorities, and then they agree. So when you involve people, and when I talk about people, I'm still talking about male and female,
Yes.
women,
Of all
men,
ages as
of
well.
all
Yes.
ages, exactly.
Inclusivity,
So
yes.
you really look at it and you can see that it makes a difference when you actually approach it from that perspective. So with regard to Reinvent, like we were saying, we have worked with them now to help the government departments, because that's where it starts, because that's where the decisions are made, that's where the resources are allocated.
Yeah.
So but now beyond that, we also need the people to know. So we have what we call the supply side, Reinvent, and then we also have the other side where we work with the non-state actors for the demand side. Because even if the legislation is there and people are actually, the laws are there and policies are there, but the people don't know. That is now another story.
It is.
So we also work with the non-state actors